Thank you, Madam President, dear Roberta, Mr. President of the Council, dear Antonio, honourable members. Indeed, one of the main topics of the last European Council was competitiveness. And today I would like to focus on the threats to global prosperity and stability, thus our competitiveness, and the rise of protectionism. And as our domestic agenda cannot be seen separately from global developments around us, let me start with the US tariffs. When the dream of a united Europe began, it started with a very simple idea. Let's create one single market. Let's break barriers, take tariffs down. That is what made us strong. Because our companies grew, and so did the ties that bind us together. And then in the same spirit, we worked with partners across the world, including the United States. We built strong connections that we believed were unbreakable, and trade brought more than prosperity. It brought the idea of a shared way of life. And with commerce, our partnership has also grown. Countless are the friendships across the Atlantic. And because of this collective experience of the last, well, almost 75 years, so many Europeans feel utterly disheartened by the announcement from the United States. Let me be clear, Europe did not start this confrontation. We think it is wrong. But my message to you today is that we have everything we need to protect our people and our prosperity. We have the largest single market in the world. We have the strength to negotiate. We have the power to push back. And the people of Europe should know that together we will always promote and defend our interests and our values, and together we will always stand up for our Europe. So far, the US administration has announced a 25% increase of tariffs on imports of steel and aluminium, cars and car parts. The next sectors facing tariffs will be semiconductors, pharmaceuticals and timber. And tomorrow we expect another announcement with so-called reciprocal tariffs that will immediately apply to almost all goods and many countries in the world. Of course, there are severe issues in the world of trade, without any question. Overcapacities, we know about the imbalances, we see unfair subsidies, denial of market access, or the IP theft. And I hear Americans when they say some others have taken advantage of the rules. I agree. We also suffer from it. So let's work on it. But tariffs across the board make things worse, not better. Tariffs are taxes that will be paid by the people. Tariffs are taxes for the Americans on their groceries and their medication. Tariffs will just fuel inflation, exactly the opposite of what we wanted to achieve. American factories will pay more for components that are produced in Europe. This will cost jobs. It will create a bureaucratic monster of new customs procedures. And today, nobody needs that, neither in the United States nor in Europe. So, our strategy builds on 3 pillars. First, we are open to negotiations. We will approach these negotiations from a position of strength. Europe holds a lot of cards, from trade to technology to the size of our market. But this strength is also built on our readiness to take firm countermeasures if necessary. All instruments are on the table. Second, we will keep diversifying our trade with other partners. You mentioned it, Antonio. Our hallmark is not only that we are the biggest market in the world, but that we are reliable and predictable. We honor our commitments. And that is exactly what our partners are looking for today. And my third point, we will double down on our single market. The single market is the cornerstone of European integration and values. It's our powerful catalyst for growth, for prosperity, for solidarity. But we have to tear down remaining barriers to have a single market to go big, because scale matters, and a single market to go fast and to go far. Now to the first point. Our immediate response to tariffs is unity and determination. I have already been in contact with our heads of state and government on the next steps. We have this parliamentary debate now here today, and we will assess tomorrow the announcements very carefully to calibrate our response. Our objective is a negotiated solution. But of course, if need be, we will protect our interests, our people, and our companies. And I want to be very clear on the aim of our response. We think that this confrontation is in no one's interest. The flow of goods and services between us, the United States and Europe, is nearly balanced. Of course, we are willing to work on the trade balance of goods as well as on the trade balance of services. This is the largest and most prosperous trade relation worldwide. We would all be better off if we could find a constructive solution. At the same time, it also has to be clear. Europe has not started this confrontation. We do not necessarily want to retaliate, but if it is necessary, we have a strong plan to retaliate, and we will use it. The second element of our strategy is diversification. Trade goes to where the business case is. We will open doors towards fast-growing markets across the world. Europe already has trade agreements in place with 76 countries, and we are now growing this network. We just concluded trade deals with Mercosur, Mexico, and Switzerland. We launched the first ever clean trade and investment partnership with South Africa. We aim to conclude a trade agreement with India by the end of this year. We are in intense negotiations with Indonesia and Thailand. And later this week, President Costa and I will head to Samarkand for the first ever summit between the European Union and Central Asia. Europe has always been a trading continent. So let's connect with the beating hearts of the global economy. Our message is clear. Europe is reliable, Europe is predictable, and Europe is open for business. And the third point, honourable members, is unchain the single market. There are too many obstacles that tie down our businesses, and we have to do our homework. Mario Draghi is right when he says, high internal barriers are far more damaging for growth than any tariff. End of quote. The single market, as I said, was born to tear down barriers between the countries, to erase customs and duties, and to make business inside the European Union as easy as possible. So we must go back to that idea and fulfill it. It must be easier for SMEs to sell the same product in all member states instead of relabeling it 27 times to comply with national laws. It must be easier for professionals to work across borders instead of getting stuck with different national bureaucracies. It must be easier for tech companies to launch a new service all across Europe instead of dealing with 27 different. And it must be easier for our Europeans to invest in Europe instead of sending their savings to the other side of the world. This is the single market. So, honourable members, it must be fulfilled now. I know, honourable members, that the European Parliament has always worked hard to complete the single market. Now we have the generational opportunity to get it done. We have a strong consensus on the Draghi and Letta report among all of us. We have put ambitious proposals on the table, you know it from the Savings and Investment Union, to ensure that people get a better return on their money, but also that the companies find the finances they need in Europe, to our omnibus simplification packages or our Union of Skills, and more will come, including the 28th legal regime for innovative companies. According to the IMF, Europe's internal market barriers, are to a tariff of 45% for manufacturing and 100% for services. This simply cannot be. This must change now. This is why I have tasked EVP Séjourné to come up with concrete and bold proposals next month to remove most of these barriers and prevent new ones. These reforms are long overdue, and now they have become more urgent than ever. We all know, in a stormy global economy, the single market is our safe harbor. It's now 30 years since Jacques Delors laid its first stone, so it's time to finish the job. Thank you very much, and long live Europe.
Thank you very much.